Hi, welcome back to the Honoriest Latina Ever. Today's segment is about everything and nothing. Anyway, today I'd like to talk about our wonderful democracy, the democracy that Donald Trump calls fake news. It is interesting because Bill O'Reilly got axed over something just, I think, ridiculous. They've known about O'Reilly for some time, but because he is relevant and he's so out there and he's not on board with all those other idiots that were bashing Trump, I think they finally got rid of him. They found him to be a threat. It's interesting how he was killing everything off and then all of a sudden he was killed off. But it's just how the monarchs operate. I was watching a movie, it was called The Last Kingdom, and it was about the Danes conquering the English. And it was very interesting because I was looking at that time period and how things were back then. And it's interesting because I've never really understood why history never went back that far. Like we learned about the Civil War and all that other stuff, but we never really went way back there. To the castles and the kings and the conquerors and the different things, and we didn't understand the whole royalty connection to all this, because people maybe didn't put much emphasis on that. But the reason why we came here was to free ourselves from Britain, to free ourselves from these royal connections. But they are very prevalent behind the scenes. They're behind the scenes in every area and aspect, and so. For example, Bill was killing everything, and that's how royals gain power, is by killing things. And back then it was very simple. It was beheadings and wars, and they just operated by the sword. Nowadays, things in technology have become more advanced, so we still have war, but it's very different. We still kill people, but it's not in like the typical like beheadings and stuff like that. It's in ways of even maybe through the food and maybe through some of the things that they market that they claim are food items. For example, our water supply. Water is just something everybody needs to survive. Without good water, you can't be healthy. It's something that we all need, and yet that's the number one thing that's being tampered with. So, to grow healthy children, they claim we need fluoride, or we need to put chlorine in the water, and we need to purify the water. And instead of doing it in a natural way, we do it in a chemical way, and we alter the water. In other countries, they don't do it so dramatically, and they don't mess with the food either. And people are living a lot better than they are here. And they come to America and they say everything tastes like chemicals and whatnot. We kill people off through the socialized healthcare. So we say that it's the socialist healthcare. But what they don't tell you is that, in other countries, the healthcare isn't something that we profit off of. And here we profit heavily off of. And death is very profitable here in America. I don't think it should be, but it is. We have some of the greatest technology ever and some of the greatest advances, and yet we people are not having access to all this wonderful stuff that's out there, depending on who you are. Depends on whether you live or die, even in the healthcare aspect. But anyway, as far as our workforce goes, we keep raising the cost of living, and yet the wages are staying the same. Couldn't possibly raise the wages, but we can't bring down the cost of living in food and commodities, and somebody's getting very rich off of all this. Yes, the rules are made to benefit the people who make the rules, and it's not to benefit the regular people. We like to call ourselves a free and democratic society, but I rarely ever see where laws are really here to benefit the people. It's usually to benefit the corporations and the very, very, very wealthy people at the very, very top. And so what Donald Trump is saying is that we aren't really being truthful in the matter. And so, and he's being perceived like a demon. And I don't think that's a very free and democratic press. We have to have fair and equality on Fox News, and that's the only station that does that. But the other stations, you would never see them being fair or equal or balanced. So I think there's something very wrong with that as well. I feel that we are being shorted in every way possible. That this is no more different than the royal times where conquerors were running around beheading people. It's just done in a very different fashion. And so if you look at the people in the Middle East and seeing what is done to their country and what is done to the surrounding countries, our presence there hasn't made anybody any safer or anybody any better off. It's made it worse because it's allowed the leaders to go and the tyrants to take over, and it's in complete and utter chaos without the protections of us or anybody else for that matter. So really, we're no better than the monarchs were back in the days conquering other territories. So with that said, you know, the special interests, the agendas, the gay rights, the whole shebang of where our country is going, it's just I really feel sorry for our future generations, because we've basically pussified this country. And we've done so by being politically correct, saying, well, we can't offend anything, so we're just going to let anything goes. And we're no better than we were in the times when things were completely wild and unruly and without any order. So we only have ourselves to blame. Some food for thought. Thanks, and have a great evening.